You know what's the funniest thing about box office bombs and flops are people trying to dissect the reasons why when the reasons are just painfully obvious to pretty much anybody that's paying attention whatsoever in the movie space. So She Said is one of the biggest box office flops in history. Despite rave reviews, the film She Said's opening weekend box office numbers are cripplingly low, and everybody's trying to like, why? The obvious answer is obvious. Okay, nobody wanted to see this movie about two chicks checking out what happened with Harvey Weinstein and, uncovering all of that kind of stuff. They thought they was doing some kind of All the President's Men, I guess, all right? Some kind of Watergate scandal or whatever. Hey, this stuff was well covered, okay? Completely and utterly well covered on social media, on the news, everywhere, okay? This isn't something that just got uncovered one day and there was this big explosion of information, okay? We've been following the Me Too situation over the past like 4 to 5 years, all right? We just had a major trial, right, with Johnny Depp dealing with this self-same topic. So what made them think that, let's bring out this big movie and let's put a lot of money behind this thing. They had what, $32 million? I thought that's a ton of money, man. For this type of a film, that's a ton of money, okay? And you would figure, well, yeah, it's just kind of like Oscar bait. You're just going to get some good acting and directing and writing award nominations. And that's all this is really about. But now everybody's sitting up here like struggling to understand why this thing is a flop. This thing was destined to be a flop. Despite the rave reviews and critical acclaim that the Universal film She Said received prior to release, the movie's box office numbers are appallingly low. The film went up against some well-anticipated heavy hitters for its launch. It didn't matter, okay, given its stiff competition. I don't care if nothing came out, all right? Nobody was going to go see this movie. Like, this movie was not on anybody's radar. And again, because of the topic itself that was well covered, okay, throughout Twitter, Facebook, social media, all over the place. Every major news story covered this thing from beginning to end. Not just the Harvey Weinstein trial, like I said, but also talking about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. This thing was completely covered. Why would you go and watch a movie about, oh, this is how they got down to the bottom of it and discovered this stuff, okay? Who wanted to go see this? The film only made $2.2 million on its opening weekend, making it one of the worst box office studio releases in history. Fans are not flocking to the theaters to see the films. An audience this holiday season may not want to watch realism portrayed on the big screen. Instead, films that offer escapism are faring well. The number one film is the superhero movie Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, followed by the comedic horror thriller The Menu. There's something to that, right? Yeah, people don't want to, get hit over the head with realism and everything, completely understandable. We want some escapism. So yeah, you get a little Wakanda Forever, you get The Menu, you get some fun. And that's kind of where the current climate is anyway, is that people are tired of getting preached to, getting pandered to for all of their social and ideological political statements. Get to the table and start entertaining us. This has been the mantra that I've been saying from the very beginning, and that many other channels and many other people have been saying. This shit is boring, okay? Star-studded cast of She Said features Carey Mulligan and Zoe Kazan. I don't know, star-studded? Who are these people? Never heard of them. And is directed by Maria Schrader. Don't care. Script follows a real-life storyline that unfortunately does not seem to be a draw for most audience members. And this is the problem again. They thought that this was going to be some kind of let's tell the real story behind the two reporters that uncovered this whole thing. But we read that story again and again for months and years about Harvey Weinstein. We saw all of that stuff, right? Honestly, I think they thought it was going to be something like old Aaron Brockovich, right? Like, Aaron Brockovich's story was interesting because people didn't know the story. We kind of saw a news article, we kind of heard about it, but we didn't live and breathe this story for several years, and then they came out with a story that we already all knew, okay? That's not interesting to us, okay? You want Aaron Brockovich, you guys go check the movie out. It's a great movie. But it's, it was talking about a single situation that a lot of people didn't know about, all right? And when that movie came out, it was like, oh, okay. Oh, this is interesting. Did this really happen? Oh, wow. How Aaron Brockovich kind of, challenged this bigger company and took them down and won some money for the people that she was fighting for and all that kind of stuff. That's interesting, okay? But when we already know the story, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to sell us on it again. Okay, it's just not happening. Other female-led storylines, such as this year's release of Wonder Woman 84. Wonder Woman 84 came out, when? That in 2020, Anyway, Disney's Turning Red animated feature about a young girl going through puberty also failed miserably at the box office. The numbers reflect a polarizing shift, indicating that moviegoers might not be interested in watching heroines struggle. No. Well, they said it a few weeks back, right? Okay. We got to get the adults back in the room when it comes to Hollywood, when it comes to what are they greenlighting, what are they pushing out there, right? All right. Because people are greenlighting bullshit. I mean, just straight up. And they're giving them nice sized budgets for it. All right. And this shit ain't turning a profit. Okay. She said was never going to return a profit to your investors. All right. Same with Woman King. Okay, you wasn't going to make a lot of money off of this. I'm sorry. Aaron Brockovich made a lot, but again, that was because it was telling a specific story that a lot of people didn't know about, and it was interesting. And it wasn't something that we had lived through like 4 or 5 years of constant Me Too in the media on the hashtag, just going everywhere. The She Said hashtag, going everywhere. Okay, believe all women, going everywhere. We saw that stuff. We lived through all of that. All right. For the last 5 years, that's what we've been dealing with. So what did they think? That we were just going to come and relive all that stuff all over again when we already know exactly what happened, how it happened, who it happened to? There was no way in the world this thing was ever going to be profitable. Here's from Deadline, looking for lessons in the She Said box office beatdown. So they had a couple of things that they highlighted. Number one, viewers are emotionally exhausted. Yeah, that's big. Like, that's huge right there. There was no way in the world, if they thought about this properly, they probably would have said, you know what? Let's just go ahead and kick this to streaming somewhere. You know, let's sell it to one of these guys, Netflix or whoever, or maybe even just throw it up on Peacock, however they're going to do it. Let's just go ahead and push this thing off and we'll get some money on the back end. They would have did something like that. There is simply nothing left to spend on real life prosecutorial picture. Yeah, nobody cares. Nobody cares about this stuff, right? All right. Yeah, you're going up against Black Panther, Wakanda Forever in the menu. All right. Yeah, that's true. But honestly, nobody cared about any of that stuff. Okay. They want fantasy. They want fun. That's why people are going to the movie. People are done with Harvey Weinstein. Yes, he's still on trial for sex crimes, but the current prosecution is anticlimactic. Okay. Yeah. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. They're done. The Me Too era and all the stuff that you made off of that time is done and over with. Like, I'm actually surprised that they waited this long, to be quite honest with you. Like, this thing probably should have came out somewhere in 2020, like just after Harvey Weinstein got convicted. I think that was the time to say, okay, let's bring it out. Let's hurry up and get this thing out there. Okay. Bring out what we did to bring him to trial and everything. So like soon thereafter, after his conviction is permanent, I know that happened like right at the beginning of the pandemic, but they should have already had something like in the books ready to go. So by the time that happened, then they could follow it up with the, the full story. That might have been, the best time to bring this out. But even then it wouldn't have made a lot of money. Hollywood is starting to grow more and more clueless, in my opinion, of knowing who their audience is and why they should care about whatever it is they're making. They don't know who's going to be coming to these movies. They just simply don't know. All right. That's why when and I'll link it above, I had that video that you guys may or may not have seen where I said that right now they got to get the adults back in the room, that the Me Too era kind of pushed all of these people into Hollywood that probably didn't belong there, that probably had no business being there and don't know what they're doing. And they're just trying to use this platform that they've suddenly just had foisted upon them, like, oh man, I'm a producer now. Well, what am I going to produce? Oh, I know what I'm going to produce. A whole lot of agenda-based items, a whole lot of social and political nonsense, and none of this shit is turning into money, okay? That's because the bubble that they live in is just like this enclosed bubble where the only thing that they are listening to are the people around them. They're not listening to the fans. They don't know what the audiences want. That's how you get a box office flop in the worst kind of way. This whole year has been nothing but huge missteps by big major studios, okay? We're talking about Disney. We're talking about Universal. We're talking about Warner Brothers, okay? Big, major missteps time and time again, thinking that, oh yeah, Lightyear is going to make a ton of money. And what happened? That's my biggest takeaway. And that should be Hollywood's biggest takeaway from this whole She Said situation, is that you clowns don't know what you're doing and you better start to figure it out real soon. Anyway, folks, go ahead, get down in the comments. Let me know what you think about this whole situation. And thanks for watching. See you next time.